Hey everybody, it's Chris Loud. I'm back with another art prompt challenge inspired by a suggestion in the comments from my friend Emmanuel. This is an abstract painting where, once again, we limit our options and use at least one large tool other than a brush to paint with. I'll briefly explain the guidelines and then show you a quick demo of me doing the challenge. The guidelines are simple. Create an abstract painting using a large tool that is 1/3 the size of your painting surface or larger. You can also use a smaller version of that tool and one other non-paintbrush tool for accents. You can use any color palette you want, and there is no time limit. I set a timer for 15 minutes but chose to paint a little bit longer. The tool that I'm using is a 4-inch brayer, as well as a 2.5-inch brayer and a toothbrush for accents. So I started off with some Prussian blue and lime green and spread that over the sketchbook page, and then added white over top of that. And I added a little more white than I wanted to. So I did rub some of that back. I want a little bit of the Prussian blue and lime green to show through, but not a whole bunch. So I went ahead and added some ultramarine blue and just kind of started painting. And this is intuitive. I really had no idea what I was going to be painting. It was more about using this tool. And I've used a brayer many times, but this really kind of stretched my creativity. My creativity a little bit, because I had really used a brayer to spread paint, and that was primarily it. So on this challenge, you can use a brayer like I'm doing. If you want to do that, you can use color shapers, wedges, cardboard. I mean, you can use anything you want as long as it's a third or larger of your painting surface. So what I found when I was using the brayer was that you can quickly get a very muddy painting unless you let things dry. I cut out all of the drying times in here where I used a hair dryer to dry it. The great thing is it spreads it. I was spreading it pretty thin, so I was able to dry it relatively quickly. But sometimes I did forget and have a few spots in here where I did create a little bit of mud. But like I said, this challenge pushed me outside of my comfort zone, but I found that I learned more with this one than most. I typically use a brayer to spread paint with varying thickness and texture, depending on what I'm doing. But what I learned is that a brayer can give you some really interesting textures and patterns when you used it in short bursts. You can get bold, sweeping swatches of paint, but also some unexpected organic effects. And being forced to pare down the tools I was using really helped me play. With all I could do, kind of figure out all the things I could do with a brayer. I was thinking more about how to try and get energetic, tactile paintings that had some visual interest. But typically I'm using a paintbrush or tools that I've used before. But overall it helped me work on my creativity and in innovative solutions, really. You might have already seen in here that I've found that there's pins on the brayer that kind of jut out, that hold the actual roller on the brayer, or to the handle, I should say. And those are great for scratching and scratching into the paint and making marks. And there's a little plastic shelf on the back of the brayer, and I was able to scrape away some paint. I was able to make some lines with that. I do move forward a few times here, just for the sake of interest. Like I said, I made some muddy areas and kind of had to rework those a little bit. So I do flip ahead here, so you're not watching me continually trying to not make mud and fix the areas that I did. And then I used that toothbrush for getting some droplets, and again, some more interest in the background and some interest with textures. So if you like this video and this challenge, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, other tutorials and art challenges, feel free to subscribe. One thing I found with using a brayer is that you do have to clean it a little bit in between when you're spreading paint, or you'll get some of that paint when you're doing the next layer. And so I luckily had some baby wipes that I use when I'm working on a gel plate nearby, so I was able to clean those, but it did make me have to stop a few times and kind of wipe that down. But stepping outside of our habits really helps advance our artistic growth, even when it's counterintuitive. Sometimes I reach to grab a paintbrush, and luckily I remembered I wasn't allowed to. But restrictions like this compel us to find new techniques. I discovered that I was looking at the brayer a lot closer than I ever had before, and it made me experiment a little bit more. And this experience really kind of taught me some of my best work emerges when I challenge my artistic boundaries, because limitations really can be kind of liberating, because I wasn't thinking about composition much on this, a little bit here and there, but I was really kind of focusing more on, okay, if I want to put this paint down, how am I going to do it with this brayer? It was more about technique. So let me know in the comments if you try this challenge, if there are large tools that you like to use that you can share with us, and how you like to use those. I used quite a few different colors on this. Like I said, Prussian blue, lime green. I believe I used this bright aqua green. Some light violet, Payne's gray, crimson, Naples yellow, ultramarine blue, and Windsor blue. And really just enjoyed kind of playing with all these colors and trying out something different with a brayer. And I got to tell you, I don't know if I will create any paintings with just a brayer again. I'll probably do a few practice pieces, because I really did like some of the textures I was getting, and I think those can come and play in some other paintings that I work on. But I don't know if I really like this painting a whole lot. It was interesting and fun to do, but I did learn a lot with this. I'll look at this again in a few days and see if I like this painting a lot more. So here's the final painting, and I'll show you in some different orientations. And one of these kind of looks like a bug smoking a cigar. But thanks for watching. Give this challenge a try and keep on painting.